Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya.
Namaskaram. Today I am going to chant Canto 89. Uniqueness of Vishnu conceptions. रमा जाने जाने यदिह तव भक्तेषु विभवो न सद्यः सम्पद्यस्तदिह मदकृत्वा दशमिनां प्रशान्तिं कृत्वैव प्रदिशसि ततः काममखिलं प्रशान्तेषु क्षिप्रं न खलु भवदीयेच्युक्तिगताः. O Lord of Rama, the goddess of prosperity, in this world thy devotees are not blessed with prosperity easily. Methinks it is because prosperity begets pride, which is antagonistic to the growth of devotion. In the case of the proud and the haughty, only after they are established in a peaceful and dispassionate state of mind, dost thou bestow on them all desirable objects, whereas in respect of those who are already peaceful and dispassionate, such blessings are granted immediately. There is no downfall for a devotee of thine. सद्यः प्रसादरुषितान् विधिशङ्करादीन् केचिद्विभो निजगुणानुगुणं भजन्तः भ्रष्टा भवन्ति बत कष्टमधिदृष्ट्या स्पष्टं वृक्रासुरधाहरणं किलास्मिन्. O Lord, there are people who, following the promptings of their own nature, worship Brahma and Shiva, who are as quick to be provoked as they are to be propitiated. Alas, they pay for this short-sightedness with downfall. The case of Vrikasura is a clear instance in point. शकुनिजः स तु नारदमेकदा त्वरिततोषमपृच्छदधीश्वरम् स च दिदेश गिरिशमुपासितुं न तु भवन्तं बन्धुमसाधुषु. Vrikasura, the son of Shakuni, once asked Narada which deity was the easiest to propitiate. The sage instructed him in the worship of Shiva and not of thee, who does never support evil ones. तपस्तप्त्वा घोरं स खलु कुपितः सप्तमदिने शिरः चित्वा सद्यः पुरहरमुपस्थाप्य पुरतः अतिक्षुद्रं रौद्रं शिरसि करदानेन निधनं जगन्नाथाद्वरे भवति विमुखानां शुभदिः. Practicing severe austerities for 7 days and yet failing to see Shiva, the Asura in great anger was about to cut off his own head and sacrifice it in the fire. When Shiva presented himself before him, from that great Lord of the universe, he sought a mean and horrible boon that any person on whose head he placed his hand should die immediately. How can one expect any good sense in people who are averse to thy worship? मुक्ताकारं बन्धमुक्तो हरिणपतिरिव राध्रर्वसोऽत रुद्रं दैत्यातभीत्या स्म देवो दिशि दिशि वलते पृष्ठतो दत्तदृष्टिः तूष्णीके सर्वलोके तव पदमधिरोक्ष्यन्त मुद्रीक्ष्य सर्वं दुरादेवाग्रतस्तवं पटुवटु पुपुषातस्तिषे दानवाय. Just as a lion, when released from his cage, would first rush at the person who releases him, The Asura, wanting to test his newly acquired power on Shiva himself, chased him. Fleeing from the Asura, Shiva raced through all the worlds with a constant backward look at the pursuing Asura. As all the worlds watched this in helpless silence, thou noticing from a great distance that Shiva was making for thy abode, did confront the Asura in the guise of a smart brahmacharin and address him thus. भद्रं ते शाकुनेय भ्रमसि किमधुना त्वं पिशाचस्य वाचा सन्देहेष्वेन्म दुप्तौ तव किमु न करोषङ्गुलिमङ्गमौलौ इत्थं तद्वाक्यमूढः शिरसि कृतकरः सोऽपतच्छिन्नपातं भ्रंशो ह्येवं परोपासितुरपि जगतिः शूलिनोऽपि त्वमेव. Hail unto you, O son of Shakuni! Why trouble yourself by running about in vain, putting faith in the absurd words of this ghost of a fellow, Pishacha? If you doubt my word, why not test it by placing your hands on your own head? Befooled by these words of thine, he put his hands on his own head and fell down dead like an uprooted tree. Such downfall is the fate of people who adore other deities. What is more, thou art the ultimate refugee of even Shiva. Bhrugam kila saraswati nikatavasinastapasaa strimurtishu samadhishanaddigasatvatam vedutam ayam punarnadaradutitadrutte vidau hareyapi cha jimhishvishau girijayadrute tvamagata. The ascetics residing on the banks of the Saraswati once sent the sage Bhrigu, one of Brahma's son, to test who among the Trimurtis, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, was the most holy and spiritual. When the sage showed no proper respect to Brahma, the latter grew very angry with him at first, but controlled himself on second thought. Next, Bhrigu behaved similarly towards Shiva, who, being mightily angry, would have killed that sage but for Parvati's intercession. Finally, the sage reached Thi. Suptam Brahmangaka bhuvi pankajalocanam tvam vipre viniknati padena mudho attidastavam sarvam kshamasva munivarya zaveta sadame tvapadachihanhamiha bhushanamityavadihi. When Bhrigu kicked thee, the lotus-eyed, on thy chest while you were asleep resting thy head on Rama's lap, thou did rise up in good humor, apologize to him for negligence in properly receiving a holy personage like him, and declared that the mark of the sage's kick would ever remain a decoration on thy chest. Nishrityatya te cha sudrudam tvai badva bhavaha sarasvata munivaradadire vimoksham tvameva machyuda punaschaschude doshahinam sattvochayaika tanumeva vayam bhajamaha. Those rishis staying on the banks of Saraswati understood from the experience of sage Bhrigu that thou art the greatest divinity, and by practicing firm devotion to thee, they attained liberation. O Lord, thou eternal one, I too am worshipping the undecaying form of pure spirit that thou art. Jagat srishtayadav tvam nigamanivahirvaddiribiriva stutam Vishnu sachit paramarasa nirdvaitavapusham paratmanam bhumana pashupavanita bhagyanivaham परितापश्रान्त्यै पवनपुरवासिनवरीभजे. O all-pervading one, O infinite being, O resident of this temple of Guruvayur, in the beginning of creation, just as minstrels awaken kings with songs of praise and Vedas, embodied as Devatas, sang hymns in praise of thee, describing thee as one with the supreme non-dual bliss consciousness. Thou who were thus praised and who art the embodiment of the spiritual merits of the Gopikas of Vrindavana, I adore thee for the eradication of all my spiritual and physical afflictions. So the canto 89 is completed. I'll be back with the next canto in the coming week. Till then, Hari Om Tat Sat, Hari Om Tat Sat.